is a Berkeley business franchise owner with 22 years of experience in brokerage and M&A. He has sold more than 700 businesses worth over $700 billion in sales. And
What'd you say?
700 million?
No, that's 700. Wow,
Did
less.
I say that? Oh, you know what? That was in another document.
Okay.
Anyways, he has a lot of businesses. 700 businesses, right?
700 businesses. You said 700 million?
No, it's sales.
Okay.
They're sales. Anyway, having said that, his accolades truly speak for his person and what he does that he is so passionate about. And so we have him back, and he is going to talk to you a little bit about the things that work and that do not work in addition to
Thank you.
a little coffee.
I apologize. Oh, okay, great. But, so I didn't realize that a lot of you were going to be back, so this is like a major repeat. So I apologize. So when I come back in 6 months, I'm going to do a whole new thing, and but maybe this is a great refresher course for everyone. And I did add a few more notes that we can discuss. But before I jump in, the reason why I knew what PO was because Paul Finley and I we worked in the PO industry back in the 90s. So it never leaves your blood. You know, do that for 3 years. So I don't even think I was that smart. So all right, so let's talk about your business. So obviously you're here spending a lot of time and money trying to develop and grow your business. And 10, 15 years from now, probably you're going to be in a position of trying to sell your business. So we're going to try to educate you, eliminate a tremendous amount of minefields in the business sale process. But we're just going to try to give you some tips that if you grab one tip that can live, just carry on for the rest of your business career, then this is a great success. And I'm just working off the sheet here that is one slide, and everyone has it. Maybe you can switch off. All right, so obviously most business owners have a high value of what they do. Of course, they spend so many years, a lot of sweat equity, hours, and what you go to build a business. So when they come to an M&A advisor or a business broker, they really have no basis of what the business is worth. So you have to either get the business value, and that's very important. And if you're a couple of years out, I suggest getting a valuation on your business every year, from that 3 year out moving forward, because that will get you conditioned on what the true value of your business will be. Because if you want to jump into the marketplace and your advisor is telling you what it is, you're going to fall off your chair, and it may not be very favorable because it's never enough. It's never enough for the effort that you put in. So the biggest challenges in selling business is getting the businesses priced correct. We're dealing with overpriced businesses. So I always tell my clients we're selling businesses on planet Earth. We're not selling it on Mars. So it's very important that we can do like a broker opinion of value or evaluation to kind of give you an idea. And then obviously we try to shoot for a higher price and try to break all records. But the reality is when a business hits the Main Street business brokerage market, it's 7 out of 10 do not sell, and 98% of buyers will never buy. So those are the numbers we're dealing with. So we have to really cut through a lot of craziness, but 3 out of 10 do sell, so you want to be part of the 3 out of 10. In order to do that, you have to have a realistic price on the business. So just keep that in mind. And to help yourself, you have to invest in accounting. Okay, I'm sure a lot of you do. But I did have an example in Miami. I met with a manufacturer, a small manufacturer doing $100 million. He was using Excel. That's all he was using. QuickBooks. And I walked out of there with a big headache, and I said there was no way I could sell this business. So if you are using QuickBooks, great. Okay, make sure you have a QuickBooks Pro advisor helping you. Make sure you have an accountant that knows QuickBooks. And if you don't want to touch it, outsource it. Okay, but it is very important to have the right accounting software and really understand your P&L and understand your books. That's important. Just don't pass it off, but really be aware, because get ready, because when you sell that business, you're going to have so many questions thrown at you on the financials that it's going to make your head spin. And buyers look at every single expense, they're comparing it from 1 year to the other. Moving on, I'm going to talk about your lease. How many people own their property? Okay, great. Okay, if you can somehow, some way own your property, you are now dictating the sale of your business. I've dealt with many landlords that have killed my deal because they're raising the rent and they require higher security deposits. A lot of buyers are coming from foreign countries and they want 6 to 12 months security deposit. So, you know, you can build a great business, but if you don't control your destiny, try to get that property. And if you know you're going to be selling a couple of years in, negotiate a new lease, it could be a 5-year lease, 5-year options, a couple of options, okay? And you got to make sure it's assignable. Every lease says the lease must be assignable. And there's a very good chance that you're going to have a personal guarantee on the lease. Just make sure you're not signing for the entire 10, 15 years. Try to limit it down to 1 year exposure, because once you sell it, if the lease transfers, the personal guarantee will transfer. Guess what? The next owner is there for 10 years. You might have to follow that 10-year guarantee, and that exposure, if they don't make it, you're on the hook. So you're in the best position to negotiate that lease when you're trying to get those options. And if you've been there 10, 15 years, limit that guarantee to 1 year. Trust me, that it will really, really help. Number 4, and I talked about this last time, being the legend in your own business. Don't be the legend. I'm the legend in my own business. It's not very hard to sell down the line. Now is the time to build a structure, a sales team, people under you, you know, and every buyer always asks, can you go on vacation? And a lot of my sellers say, no. That's the test. If you can go on vacation and you can come back and the business is still there, you got a business, okay? Because it didn't all fall apart because you're there. And many sellers, I haven't gone on vacation in years, and you know, my wife or my husband's telling them it's time to go. So they want to sell the business. So build structure, management that you can trust, and it costs money to put people in place, but build that company up so where you can go on vacation and you can have a life and get a break for yourself. That's very important. Don't be the legend in your own business. Last time I talked about old inventory. When I go into distributors, I go in a warehouse and the seller goes, look at all this great inventory. And then the first question is, how much is the inventory? It's over a year old. I start seeing the dust. No one wants to buy old inventory. So get rid of it, okay? Very important. I am talking about antiquated equipment, selling a staircase manufacturer. And in the past 20, 30 years, all staircases were wooden staircases. Everyone loved wood. Now it's modern, metal and everything. So my seller has equipment that hasn't been touched in 20 years. And I know I'm up the creek now, because when a buyer comes in, they're going to look at equipment that's not operational. And it's sitting in the warehouse, it's not operational. So that's going to cause a problem when I try to sell that company. The buyer's going to feel they're going to have to make capital investment into the equipment. So make sure you have the newest and greatest equipment, and sometimes better equipment makes better efficiency, gives you better profitability. So keep that in mind. Number 6, talk about only having one supplier. I was at a pest control firm. They manufactured chemicals for the pest control industry, and they had one supplier in California. And every buyer brought up at the end, one supplier getting supplies. And we finally found the right buyer to buy it, but it took us a year to sell it because they only had one supplier. Got one supplier, the whole business can completely collapse if that supplier goes out of business. So keep that in mind. Last time I talked about competing against Amazon. You have an internet business. 2 minutes, okay, move quick. You want to not fight Amazon. You want to join Amazon and try to get a piece of the share. Licensing is a big issue. I was trying to sell a check cashing store. To transfer a check cashing store can take up to a year to transfer the license for the state of Florida. It takes a long time. So if you have a company that needs licensing, try to understand how can the buyer work within the license parameters to get the business sold. Number 10 and 11 are the new ones that I want to bring up. Talking about if you haven't raised your prices because of inflation. I was working on a restaurant and they were selling omelets for $8 to $10, but down the block omelets were $14. And because the seller never raised the prices, the earnings went down, the business was having a hard time selling. Increase your prices to reflect inflation. Everything is going up. It's great to be the low price leader. I understand it's scary, but you have to do that, okay? And then also, we're heading into recessionary times. I know no one wants to admit it, but we are. So you need to, when you're in a great expansion in the economy, we start spending money in our business, and there's a lot of wasteful spending. So start looking at your P&L and try to determine what's wasteful spending, so you can cut expenses down. And also the labor, okay? You need to make sure that your employees are paid properly, because a buyer will definitely say, if they look at the roster and they see the wages, and if they're underpaid, they're not buying your business because they don't want to raise the wages going in. So that's very important. And if we go into recessionary times, you don't want to be caught with incredibly high wages. You sometimes might have to scale down to, survive through the recessionary time. So keep that in mind. And then last two are quick. Cash payroll. Never have cash payroll. Not good. I see it all the time. Cash, cost of goods. Do not pay your vendors in cash. Very common. And illegal employees in the landscaping industry. I see illegal employees all the time, even though the government likes illegal people now. It is still not good to have. And then the last one is, if you have contracts, okay, if you're property management, you're in construction, or whatever, if you have contracts, look at your contracts. Make sure those contracts are transferable. All you need to do is redo the contract and say, this contract can be assigned. Okay? And so when you sell a business, they don't have to buy your corporation. They could assign it to the new DBA. Okay? Very important. That's it. Sorry I had to do this quick.